I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could everybody have a seat? And I'd like to remind everybody to please turn off your phones or silence them so we don't have any interruptions. I appreciate that. And you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Paul.
Here.
Vice Mayor Whitman.
Here.
Councilmember Hatton.
Here.
Councilmember Starkey.
Here.
Councilmember Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Lamack. Here. Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Holste. Here. Mr. Weinthal.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to remind everybody that we're all here in our Western wear in anticipation of the Southeast Circuit Finals at the Rodeo Arena coming up on November 11th, 12th, and 13th. Hope to see you all there. We start off our meeting with public comments. This is the first meeting of every month is reserved for public comment. Speakers will not be limited to the number of topics. However, discussion will not be permitted on any item on the agenda for public hearing. So I think that applies to most of the people here. The speakers may speak on the items on tonight's agenda when the item is announced pursuant to the present policy. You'll be limited to 3 minutes. If there's anyone that would like to speak in the public portion, you may raise your hand and step forward. Yes, sir. State your name and address, please.
Michael Kroll, 3053 Periwinkle Circle, 33328. I believe one of those disposable magazines that came over the weekend, the mayor had an article in there. A couple of things were referenced in regards to utilities. I know that there's been discussions about the issues with Sunrise Water for years. That's not really my concern right now, but there was a mention made about possibly getting rid of FP&L. And I had some significant concerns about that if that were the case.
No, you should go back and read it again.
FP&L
FP&L has a company that delivers water. And this is what I was trying to let the public know, that we're in an exploration mode looking at several possibilities on dealing with the utilities. And it was just to let everybody know what was coming down the pike. There's going to be public hearings on everything. And
I was just concerned about the fact that, having city provided electric service.
No, you have to go back and read it again. Okay.
That was it.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
This is Rick. Just to correct the record, it's not technically FP&L. It's
Yes,
a
I know.
subsidiary of them. I just wanted for the record.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments portion and move on to the consent agenda. I have to ask for approval to add 25, a proclamation for Native American Heritage Month, to the consent agenda. I have a motion.
Motion to add 25 to the agenda.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. All right.
Mayor?
Yes.
Would you like me to make a motion to move 25 up when we hear the rest of the proclamation?
No, because I wasn't pulling it, so
Okay.
there was no one here to accept it. Now you made me lose my order. What was I going to say? No. Okay. Okay. I'm in order now. On the consent agenda, I'm pulling 1, 3, 17, 18, and 19, which will be taken under public hearing with 20 and 21. Does anybody else wish to pull anything? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda without 1, 3, 17, 18, and 19?
A motion to approve consent agenda without 1, 3, 17, 18, and 19.
Second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. First proclamation is for Harvest Drive. Are Amy and Holly here? Oh, okay. I'm just checking because we're going to read it first. Do you want me to wait? Okay. Well, we're going to read it first, so, okay. May I have a motion to approve proclamation on Harvest Drive?
Motion to approve proclamation on Harvest Drive days.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's okay. Councilmember Starkey will be reading the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas this year's Harvest Drive will celebrate 30 years of children helping children in Broward County schools. And whereas the Harvest Drive will take place at 13 different distribution sites with 190 schools participating in Broward County and serving over 2,400 families. Whereas the Harvest Drive will be a resource for needy families in crisis assistance with food and household necessities. Whereas this drive, as in the past years, will focus and be successful because of the volunteers, students, parents, principals, administrators, teachers, and social workers. And whereas the effort, time, dedication, and support so generously provided by organizers and the workers at this year's Harvest Drive is extraordinary. And whereas we want to thank those individuals who work tirelessly with the program: Renee Herman, founder; Amy Ferg, program director; Holly Stataquantine. Holly, is that right? Yes. Okay, Harvest Drive program manager, as well as each individual volunteer involved, for your continuous support throughout the entire year and for your ongoing commitment to success of your mission to alleviate hunger in Broward County, Florida. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and the town council of the town of Davie do hereby proclaim November 1st through November 24th, 2022 as the 2022 Harvest Drive Days, signed by our mayor. Thank you.
You want to come up and accept it? You know, he'll give it to you. You can go to the microphone and say a few words if you'd like to. Come up. Yeah, come up to the microphone.
Good evening. I want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. Harvest Drive greatly appreciates it and everything that the town of Davie does for the Harvest Drive.
And you will have several of us on site. One of the days, I don't remember which one, but
The 17th?
the 17th. Very good. We'll be there with.
I'll definitely be looking out for you and
Yes.
looking forward to spending the day with you. Thank you
Very
so
good.
much.
Thank you. Number 3 is a tribute to our veterans. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. And Chad from our Parks and Rec Department will be accepting it. And Councilmember Lewis will be reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas a century ago, 4.7 million American sons and daughters donned a uniform to serve our nation during World War I. And whereas on the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th month in 1918, an armistice to the fighting was declared, and for that reason, November 11th, 1918 is generally regarded as the end of the war to end all wars. And whereas Veterans Day originated as Armistice Day on November 11th, 1919, the first anniversary of the end of World War I in 1926, the United States Congress passed a resolution for an annual observance. And whereas Veterans Day is observed annually on November 11th, as a federal holiday in the United States, honoring military veterans who serve in the United States Armed Forces. And whereas on Veterans Day, our nation comes together to honor our veterans, to commemorate the legacy of profound service and sacrifice they have upheld in the pursuit of a more perfect union. And whereas through their steadfast defense of American ideals, our service members have ensured our country still stands strong, our founding principles still shine, and nations around the world know the blessing of freedom. And whereas the selfishness of our service members is unmatched, and remind us that there are few things more fundamentally American than doing our utmost to make a difference in the lives of others. And whereas just as our veterans stood watch on freedom's frontier, so they have safeguarded the prosperity of our nation and our neighborhoods, our business, and our homes. And whereas many veterans continue to serve the community as public servants, mentors, parents, and community leaders, these patriots have made contributions to civilian life that serves as a testament to their dedication to the welfare of our country. And whereas to honor Davie veterans, the Mayor and Town Council host a Veterans Day event at Veterans Park on Friday, November 11th at 10 a.m. through the Strategic Planning Committee will provide meal vouchers to qualifying veterans but used at participating restaurants. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and the Town Council of the Town of Davie do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2022, tribute to our veterans, and wish to honor through recognition all veterans who have served and are currently serving our country and community.
Chad?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, administration. Just wanted to say it's an honor to accept this proclamation on behalf of the men and women who proudly served our country. And we look forward to presenting this proclamation at next Friday's Veterans Day ceremony, the town's annual Veterans Day ceremony, which starts at 10 a.m. We'll also have bus transportation, which starts at 9 a.m. from the rodeo ground. So we look forward to seeing everybody there next Friday.
Thank you very much. And again, we want to thank the department's support of our veterans with the Veterans Breakfast once a month. It's always just so wonderful. And now the voucher program that we reinstituted this year. It's an honor to be able to help those that have served so valiantly. Okay. We'll go on to public hearings. I have two variances rather. One's a vacation, one's a variance. Are those individuals here for number 22 and 23? Because I think we can dispose of them very quickly. And then, huh? Okay. Yeah, number 22 is a vacation. And Mr. Weinthal, would you read this by
Yes,
title,
Mayor.
please?
In ordinance to the Town of Davie, Florida, approving application VA 22039 Austin, vacating a 25-foot right-of-way, a 20-foot drainage easement, and a 12-foot utility easement originally established within the Pleasant Acres plat, recorded in Plat Book 131, page 48 of the official books of the official records of Broward County, Florida, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Has quasi been waived?
Yes, Mayor, quasi has been waived on all items tonight.
Okay. Is a public hearing? Anybody in the audience wish to speak for or against this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Anyone from council have a question? Yes.
Just wanted to make sure that none of the residents had objected in the surrounding area. Last time I checked, they
No.
hadn't.
There were no objections.
Okay, then
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve number 22 vacation?
motion to approve.
Roll call, please. Is this a supermajority as required?
Vice Mayor Whitman,
Yes.
Councilmember Starkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Hatton.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Mayor Paul.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 23 is a variance. Mr. Weinthal, would you read the title, please?
A resolution of the Town of Davie, Florida, taking final action on various application V22052 Garcia, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against this item? May I step forward at this time? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions by anyone on council? No? May I have a motion to approve number 23 variance?
Motion to approve number 23 variance, Garcia.
Is there a second? Madam
Second.
Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Starkey?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Paul?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Whitman?
Yes.
Councilmember Hatton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay. And now for the main event. Okay, we have 17, 18, and 19, and 20 and 21 that we're going to be hearing together. Before we do this, I just would like to say that we have a petition that I have seen is included in the site plan, and we'll be reiterating it during discussion. So we want to make sure that everybody is aware of that. Now, this is a, Mr. Weinfeld, how can we do this as, I know we have to vote on each one separately, but can we do all the public hearing together?
Yes, Mayor. Everything could be addressed together with the applicant and the public hearing, just vote separately.
Okay. What I would like to do first is perhaps have a very brief overview from the developer on what it is that has been accomplished. Mr. Mealy, yeah. And then I will open the public to speak.
So we have a few slides that first of all, my name is Dennis Mealy, 200 East Broward Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, on behalf of the applicant, and we have a few slides to show. Thank you very much. This is the location of the property on the south side of Griffin Road, just east of 73rd Avenue. Just zeroing in on it a little closer so you can see it. I know everybody knows where it is, so I'll get through this. And then we have several items tonight. We have a land use map amendment, we have a rezoning, we have a plat, and we have a site plan, and we also have an allocation of flex units. So you see on the map, our property is commercial on the northern portion and 3 units per acre on the southern portion. We're actually building fewer than 3 units per acre on the southern portion, and we're converting the northern portion from commercial to residential. So you see that the proposed land use designation for the northern part would be 10 units per acre. We have fewer than that, but that's the general category that it would fit in. We're below 10 units per acre, but that's the category it would fit in. And you see the other places that are that same color yellow on the map. Those are properties are also 10 units per acre. The lighter yellow is the 3 unit per acre areas. Again, the zoning, the northern part is the Griffin Road Corridor District. The southern part is currently A1. And we're proposing to rezone the southern part to also be the Griffin Road Corridor District. These are just other examples of townhomes or 10 unit per acre developments in the area south of Griffin Road in the Griffin Road Corridor zoning area. So our original site plan provided for 35 single-family homes on the south and 55 townhomes on the north. I'm going to show you different changes we made over time. These changes were a result of discussions with town staff, town council members, mayor, but also with our neighbors. So this is the original plan. And then the first thing we did was remove 2 units in the front that flanked the entrance off Griffin Road. So then you see the revised plan still has the 35 single-family homes. Townhomes were reduced from 55 to 53. Then the next change we made was to remove 2 additional townhomes to create kind of a more of an open area through those rows of townhomes. So then you see that third version is with 51 townhomes and still the 35 single family. And then the next thing we did was reposition some of the townhomes to create a larger green area along the eastern property line where we're closest to our residential neighbors. And we just simply took 2 townhomes and moved them from the area that's down kind of at the bottom over to the Griffin Road frontage area. So you can see on this plan, which is the final version that's on the agenda this evening, instead of where those 2 homes were, there's now a green area with a little gazebo. Now, the other thing we did is when we were at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, we heard from neighbors on a number of different items, so we made some adjustments based on that input. The first thing we did was to remove the equestrian trails along the west and the south in order to provide a bigger buffer, particularly on the east. So we have a 30-foot buffer on the east side then, and that's the area outside of the individual single-family lots. You see that green strip that runs along the bottom of this drawing. That's a 35-foot wide, a 30-foot wide buffer. And then you have the rear yards and the side yards, so there's even more of a separation from the homes. The other thing we put in was a drainage swale because some of the neighbors that are east of us were concerned that the drainage might become an issue. So we have a drainage swale that runs along the eastern property line and the southern property line that takes the water to the canal that's over by 73rd Avenue. So I know you can't see that on here, but there is the drainage swale is incorporated into the plan to take care of the drainage concern that we heard about from our neighbors. And then this is just showing you some of the amenities. We have the lake, we have the gazebo I pointed out earlier. We have the recreational amenities for the residents that you see is centrally located. That's not near any of the property lines. It's in the middle of the property. So, you know, as a recreational amenity, people are going to be enjoying themselves there. So we don't want noise to go off the property. That's why we put it in the middle. And then these are just some renderings of the homes. Townhomes, the single family first, and then the townhomes. And then this is going to be our frontage along Griffin Road. We have a very wide buffer there. We have room for a lot of trees, the decorative fencing that has become kind of the standard. So obviously we like the way our houses look, but we also know that when you're driving by on Griffin Road, you don't want to be just looking at the buildings. You want to see the nice landscaping in front. So this is showing you how it's going to look when we're done. And then the reconstruction of 73rd Avenue, I think, is a very important factor. You know, I equate this somewhat if you think about along the Palomino Lake property where 58th Avenue was rebuilt. You remember what 58th Avenue used to be like. The asphalt was not good. The grading was not flat. So you have similar roadway problems on 73rd Avenue that we will be fixing with resurfacing of the road, putting in a sidewalk, landscaping, guardrail, etc. A much better look when we're done. This is the concept of what it should look like when we're done as compared to what it looks like today. So the reconstruction of 73rd Avenue is part of the conditions of approval of the project. Then we're making the drainage swale I talked about earlier. You can see it here, how it will pick up the water from the rear lot lines of the folks that live east of us and carry it over to the canal to eliminate any potential drainage concern for our neighbors. And then this is a wonderful engineering cross-section of the same thing. I guess John Vogt knows how to read this, and maybe some of the other people. I don't, so I'll skip past it. But it's showing you that we're doing the drainage improvement. And then these are just some traffic numbers. Clearly, whenever you change from commercial to residential, you're going to reduce the amount of traffic, not only the daily traffic, but the morning peak hour and the afternoon peak hour. And that's what this is showing you, significant reductions in traffic by building the townhomes instead of the commercial. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If there's any public comment, I'd like the opportunity to respond as appropriate. Thank you very much.
I think what we'll do is we'll listen to the public, and then if we have any questions or comments and any answers that need to be given, we can do it at that time, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, so we have a public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this item? You can come forward at this time, state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Roy Radnoff. I live on Southwest 72nd Avenue, and the address is 4747. All I can say is I'm the third longest living resident, I guess you might say, of 72nd Avenue. I've been there in the house for 50 years, and I've known Barbara Spike for most of those years, and this change is making a huge impact on our Davie living. It'll never be the same. But I knew that this day was coming forward for many years. I knew someday we would be going through this. I knew Barbara would be selling at some time and there would be a development. So what we've tried to do is all the neighbors got together and we've discussed all the pros and cons, and I think we've come up with a plan that satisfies most of our main concerns, and I think everybody is pretty happy with what we are. You know, we're not at 100%. There's some other ideas that people have promoted, such as I'd still like to see a little less density, but we realize that you know, some changes have already been made, and we had to look at some of our other concerns. Now, my main concerns is what our backyard's going to look like. I don't want a bunch of houses and traffic and people up against our backyard. And I just want to thank the council and Mayor Paul, you know, for working with us, and also, you know, the developer and the consultant, because I think we've made a lot of headway. We've got a lot more concessions from them than what I thought we would get, and that makes me pretty happy. You know, like I say, I'm not 100%, but and one little thing here, where's Barbara? There she is in the front row. Barbara offered me a button when I walked in. And I said, that's pushing it a little bit hard. But then I thought about it, and I said, all right, I'll take the button. I've got the button, but I've had to put it back in my pocket. So anyway, Barbara, good luck, and you know, I hope we can all move forward and make this, you know, not a painful experience for all of us. I know we're all compromising. We're doing our best. You guys have done your best and everything. So I just want to thank you for working with us and allowing us to take up a lot of your time to hear us. So.
Thank you very much. Very
Is
good
that 3
timing.
minutes?
That's your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Richard Coker. I'm an attorney, and I'm here representing Dr. Richard Strain, who owns the property directly south of the Spikes Grove property. And I have an aerial, the same aerial that I showed the P&Z board. Can I give it to the council members?
Someone will hand it to us.
There's 10 of them in there. And while those are being handed out, Dr. Strain has owned the property that you see as a nursery since 1988, and he's owned his homestead, which you'll see on the aerial, since decades before then. So he's been a long-time resident. And he's not here today to argue about or object to the redevelopment of the Spikes Grove property, or to object to density or the type of use or change of land use or anything like that. We're down to purely an issue of buffering. And he believes, and he's seen Davie in the past, always balance the rights and needs of Davie residents with the rights of developers and the need to redevelop property to the highest and best use. In this case, all he sees as an issue is the buffering on the south side. If you'll notice what his property looks like, it abuts the entire south side, the south perimeter. And on the south perimeter of the Spikes Grove development, there are about 9 houses that front onto the south side, but there's a road there that allows access for all 35 units. The developer has removed the equestrian trail and agreed to put a 20-foot buffer in its place, and thank you very much. And the only issue that's been discussed by Dr. Strain and the developer was the further buffering of that south property line, which is only 20 feet, and it's all zoned. Dr. Strain's property is all zoned R1. So at the time that it becomes, it changes from a nursery to a residential development, it'll have to be developed as 35,000 square foot lots. They're two different types of developments completely. And Dr. Strain thinks it's important to have a strong buffer that's easy to maintain and keep people out of both sides, and requests that you require a wall to be put on that south side rather than the planned fence, which can come down in a hurricane, can come down, people jump over fences all the time. And so that's the only issue that we would like to discuss with you is the proper buffering of the southern border, and a wall would be more appropriate than a fence. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? State your name and address, please.
Rebecca Griffin, 5396 Southwest 61st Avenue in Davie. I too was born in Broward County 45 years ago. 55 years ago. Okay, 65 years ago. Anyhow, so I came to the last meeting with Barbara just to show support because we grew up together. Our fathers also did when they were teenagers. And I got kind of impassioned because I was like, oh my God, these people are protesting, letting her sell the property, and you know, everybody moves on. The town of Davie is changing tremendously. And I thought, my father lived on a houseboat on the Davie Canal. Times have changed a little bit. You know, it's just part of the process. And there were some angry people. I think everything's calmed down because I think the developers bent over backwards trying to make everybody happy. And as I laid in my backyard today in the pool and realized I had a nursery and it was very quiet and private, and I thought, oh, I get it. I know why they don't want it to change. But I would say that if the guy behind me sells, I hope he sells, and the developer that's developing this property develops that property, because he's just done everything to try to make everybody happy. So, for all the Spikes Grove people with their big orange buttons, I was supposed to wear white, didn't, so I had white hair, so I was allowed in the group. So, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. I closed it and I turned off my microphone. Do we have any questions from anybody? I have a couple of comments. I'd like to, first of all, say that I want to make sure that the petition that the residents gave to us becomes part of the record and is attached to the site plan, because I think it's important to have that on the record for all people to know right down the line exactly what it is that has been committed to and what has been requested. So many times in the past, we've had situations and we go back and we look, and I said, I know we did this, but there's no record of it because it wasn't attached to the site plan. And I'm also going to ask for verbatim minutes for this section of the meeting, so when the minutes are archived and they ever need to find anything, it will be there. So, and I want to thank the developer. We've come a long way in Davie, and having a developer that will take the time to work with us, and I see Pillar is here, outstanding. I mean, he could change a site plan at the drop of a hat. People used to tell us, oh, okay, we can't do that. We've been spending so much time doing this. And yet Pillar has been able to do it, and I think they've done numerous site plans to show the adjustment. And I just want to say, too, we had other people come forward for this property. There was one that I just said, absolutely, we couldn't deal with it. They wanted like 300 apartments, rental apartments on the property. And we knew we had to be careful when we, saw that this property was being developed, to make sure the residents were satisfied that their concerns were met. So much said for the petition, and I want to thank all of those who signed it. It's very important for us as your council representing you that we have that input from the public so that it gives us the direction so that we know which way to go. I know one of the things on the petition dealt with construction plans, you know, making sure that holidays and Sundays that they weren't really early morning. And I think one of the things is, you know, a lot of times that early morning hour when the school buses are driving by and so forth, sometimes can become an issue. So I want to make sure, and I'm glad that that's in the petition, which will also be requesting that the developer give that consideration. There was other thing. Oh yes, you mentioned the trails. You know, I always try to put trails in on properties because I figure even if they don't go any place, that sometime they will attach to someplace. But in this case, there was a realization that the trails really didn't go anyplace. And people that are on 73rd that go out the back of their properties that go to Wolf Lake, that wasn't going to be an issue. So I had no problem with removing those horse trails in order to give a greater buffer. And my other concern, and what you know, the old tree hugger, I was very happy, and I love the picture. We're moving away from palm trees. We're going to more sustainable canopy trees that help us protect the environment. So we're looking at that point as well. The the east buffer area I know is a concern to everyone because of the hawk's nest, the owl, some of the trees in there. We want to take special attention, and I've spoken with the developer about that, to pay special attention to protecting as much of that as we possibly can in its natural state. So I'm going to be out there watching. So I'll come back. I have another question, but in the meantime, Susan?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted, and obviously I echo many of the things that you had discussed, and thanking the residents for coming forward on 72nd Avenue, meeting with us, expressing your concerns, and then also working with the developer directly to try to make sure these issues were resolved. I mean, you all did a stellar job at trying to make this work. The other thing, too, is to address Mr. Coker, if I may, Mayor, on the wall issue. It was discussed at some point in time, and much of the concern was what would happen to it in the future. Would it drain properly with a wall versus a berm or a swale? And I think the residents primarily decided that they would rather have a swale with a fencing and shrubs that would better retain that water and convey the water to the drainage into the canal. So the wall was not really well received, not even by council, I think, at this point. So in an apology to Mr. Strain, I think that, much of our consideration is to get away from concrete like that and to try to go with a more natural buffer. And I think the buffer that has been provided, both buffers, the residents to the east as well as Mr. Strain's property to the south. So I think that worked very well in the way that worked out, and the developer was very good with that. It's been a long time coming. I also know that the mayor has had many meetings with several developers over time, and that, if it didn't pass the sniff test, if you will, on what would be for our zoning and our codes and all the huge developments that were being proposed, and you just kind of held your nose and went, it doesn't look promising. But we always kept an open mind, knowing that the family had always wanted to move on with the property. So, I just wanted to bring that one issue up specifically to address Mr. Coker, since he's here, with the wall for Mr. Strain. So thank you for that, but we'd like to go with the more natural.
Yes, go.
I just have a quick question, either Pilar or Mr. Mealy. I didn't see this, I'm sure it's there, I just didn't see it. The second exit, the emergency exit, it's still there, right? He's shaking his head.
Yeah, for the record, yes, it is still there.
Thank you, thank you. I just didn't see it there.
I just have to do a demonstration, since we have an audience so big. These are what we have to review,
Yeah.
not just our staff, but council. And we all get it, and we all have to read it, and we all have to ask. That's what Carrie could have been gone by tonight. Give me a break. No, I'm defending her.
And these weigh about 50 pounds.
I'm so defending Carol because it's quite
Okay.
That's why I joked it was right here.
No. Okay, so any other comments? I think we can go and take each item now and vote on them. We'll start off with the site plan, which is number 17. May I have a motion to approve number 17?
Motion to approve number 17, site plan.
Second it.
Mayor,
Yes?
David Quigley, Planning and Zoning. Can you just clarify, there's conditions of approval that, came from staff and the Planning and Zoning Board that you're accepting
didn't
all
hear
of the
those.
conditions? And then
Did you give me a memo on that?
it's in the agenda item.
Oh, it's in the backup.
It's on the, the agenda summary.
Okay. Can you repeat which it was, so approving the site plan with the, including the residence petition
Well,
and the recommendations from the site plan committee, except for one, I think you said, no, which number was it?
The one exception is the wall.
Right, that was the wall on the east side.
And the one point that I want to address is that the petition mentions restrictions on construction activity. It says no holidays, weekends, early mornings, or evenings. And that's more restrictive than our current codes. I just wanted to make sure that that's what you intend to make as a condition of approval on this.
I had asked if they would work with that and try to minimize it as much as possible,
Understood, thank you.
especially weekends. Did you want to say something? You agree with me?
But that's in writing.
Dennis Mealy, on behalf of the applicant, yes, we will definitely work with the town and the neighbors to make sure that we're very careful about when we're working.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, but if it's actually in the motion, does it have to be done? I mean, the things Mr. Quigley said was morning, late night,
I
weekends.
included the petition merely as an addendum to the.
Right, so
to
my
the
understanding
site
is the
plan.
petition is being included as backup. It's not part of the motion.
Right.
But the motion would include conditions of approval from staff minus the
wall.
The wall.
And as I said, and the petition is being added to the site plan just so that there's a record.
So think of the petition as a backup.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is, the things that we just spoke about, weekends that they agreed to do as a general thing, principle, is it going to be mandatory? Can they come around?
No, we just
and
got
say-
finished saying that.
I just wanted to check. It sounded like it was, so that's
No.
all.
Okay. Are we all together?
If somebody-
There's no public participation at this point?
Mayor, I just want to be clear, there's a motion and a second on the floor, so we need to do a vote.
Right.
Right, but could we, I think,
To
let's
change the
clarify
motion?
the motion,
Yeah.
because I think we have some confusion now. What motion's on the table right now?
To approve.
The motion is to
17.
approve the site plan with site plan recommendation minus the wall
So motion
on
to-
the east side.
Motion to approve with staff comments minus the wall on the east side.
Right.
Is that what you have, Madam Clerk?
And 17.
So as recommended by staff, minus the wall.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table,
Yes, sir.
and we have,
You made the motion?
I did.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
Roll call. Councilmember Hatton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Starkey.
Yes.
Mayor Paul.
Yes.
She's
Motion
crying. Don't
passes.
cry. Don't cry.
Motion
miss
passes.
you.
Oh, my goodness.
A long way coming.
Got 4 to
You got
go,
there.
but that's the rough one. Number 18 is the plat. May I have a motion to approve the plat?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Paul,
Yes.
Councilmember Hatton.
Yes.
Councilmember Starkey.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Whitman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Good. Number 19 is the flex units. May I have a motion
for
to
number
approve?
19. Motion to approve flex units number 19.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Starkey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Whitman.
Yes.
Mayor Paul.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Hatton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Number 20 is the land use plan amendment. That requires a supermajority.
Motion to approve
I-
land.
I-
Wait, we got to read it.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Weinfeld, would you read the title?
Yes, Mayor.
I'm just in rush to get in. She's so. We're on a roll.
An ordinance to the Town of Davie, Florida, approving land use plan amendment application LA 21-113 Spikes Grove, amending the Town of Davie comprehensive plan by changing the future land use plan map designation of certain lands from commercial to residential 10 DU an acre, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. And we've already had public comment. We can go ahead and take a motion.
Motion to approve 20 land use plan amendment.
Is there a second?
Second. Okay.
Roll call, please. This is
Councilmember Hatton.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Starkey.
Yes.
Mayor Paul.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
21.
Number 21 is the rezoning. This also requires a supermajority. Mr. Weinthal, would you read the rezoning by title?
Yes,
please?
Mayor. An ordinance to the Town of Davie, Florida, approving rezoning application ZB21-114 Spikes Grove, changing the zoning designation of certain lands within the Town of Davie from Agriculture A1 District to Griffin Corridor District West Gateway Zone, amending the town zoning map to comply therewith, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
We've already had the public hearing on this. May we have a motion?
Motion to approve rezoning number 21, please.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Paul.
Yes.
Councilmember Hatton.
Yes.
Councilmember Starkey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And that concludes.
Thank you.
We'll miss you.
I have to tell you, after sitting in council till 3 o'clock in the morning on development
Yep.
issues,
This is an
the fact that we had such a great team to work with and a great relationship between the public and the developer and the engineering company, I mean, thank you. Thank you very much for all your cooperation. We appreciate it. Good luck to you. We're going to miss you.
Yeah.
I know this has been long in coming. And I just want to let you know, this was also a site of people were saying, we want a Buc-ee's in Davie. Let's get a Buc-ee's. And then I
what's a
said,
Buc-ee's?
no, the site's not big enough. Hey,
Yeah,
I don't know,
what's a
but I
Buc-ee's?
didn't know what it was either. But
It's like a
and
Wawa?
then it's like a Wawa on steroids. And also Tractor Supply was looking for a place in Davie. So those were,
This would be
possible. When
nice.
people said they wanted to keep it commercial, that was what the options were. So we're very pleased that you're happy and that you're going to have a great future. We'll miss you. And I believe the plans call for a little plaque in that little open area there that's going to give a little history of Spikes Grove. Ah. We'll have you back when you'll come
Those are
back.
happy tears, I hope.
Yeah. And thank you to everybody who came out. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Miller.
Well, good night.
You're all excused.
The room's gonna be empty. That won't.
That closes the public hearing portion of the meeting. Are there any board appointments? Yes.
Mayor, I'm going to do a switch up. I'm moving Paul Davidson to, where is it? Oh, gosh.
Budget Advisory
To
Committee.
Budget Advisory because Preston is taking a tenure over in Arkansas for a while. And so we're going to switch him over to that, and then I'm going to put on a very nice young lady, Lindsay Avila, who lives off of Griffin, to the Transportation Airport Advisory Board, because she's right in the flight path, and I think she would do very well for that.
Okay.
And I think you'll enjoy and like meeting her.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm working with the administrator to put together some of the recommendations that came from the Ag Board, and especially those on the education aspect. And so hopefully we'll have that for council very shortly. Okay. Hey, it's almost Thanksgiving. Where'd the year go? Okay, mayor and council comments. Okay, there'll be a celebration of life for Priscilla Tyndall at the old Davie School on Saturday, November 12th. I think it's 11 to 2, if anybody would like to be there. Also, Linda Wood, who has been the director of the police academy over here in the central campus, has been suffering from pancreatic cancer, and they're having a walk for Linda Wood at the central campus fighting pancreatic cancer, also on November 12th from 10 to 12. So, I'm going to try to get over there for about an hour before I go over to Priscilla's celebration of life, if anybody else is interested. It's important. Also, South Florida Trail Riders, pancake breakfast and tax sale at the Equestrian Park. I have it's Saturday from 9 to 1, and it's the same day as the concert, the Hurricane Ian concert. So that's going to be a busy day, too, for anybody that wants to go to that at the Equestrian Park. What?
Can you share that through Grace, those items?
Yes,
so we'll all
I will
have
do
them?
that. Okay.
Thank you.
Also, and this is going to be purely in terms of establishing some reference points for discussion. Scott Brook, who's the mayor of Coral Springs, spearheaded a mayor's mental health roundtable. And I participated in it mainly because I wanted to find out what some other communities, we all agreed that we had a lot of support within our departments, the police department, the fire department, HR. But what interested me was what some of the communities are doing within the community to promote mental health issues. Cooper City has a mental health advisory board that they started, and I'd just be interested in finding out what it is that they're doing with that. Coral Springs has community organizational meetings. They meet the first Monday of every month, and I know that this started actually after the Parkland shooting, and it has been very essential in the community. So I'm looking for maybe doing something to go beyond the programs that we have for town employees. And I thought that this might give our YES board, the Youth Education and Board, another avenue to instead of creating another board. Because right now, basically, what they do is they look at the mayor's scholarship participants. They get recommendations for the grants for the schools. So I figured that this would give them perhaps another avenue to work with because it is educational in nature. So I'd like to kind of look at that and see how we can work that. Because many people need a non-judgmental arena to share and talk out their problems, and especially with the rising suicide rate, that I think this would be an interesting and beneficial move for the town. So I'm sure we'll be discussing it, Mr. Lemack, at some length. I appreciate it. The next thing is, our next meeting, we're being sworn in. I want to make sure that everybody has gotten someone to swear them in. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Make those phone calls. Okay. And the other question is, we've always had a big reception before. We had the women's club, and then we walked over. But we got a very different situation now. What? No, we're not walking over. So I was going to ask you, would you be okay with just having a small reception, like at 5:30? There's no CRA, so it would give us about an hour, 5 or 5:30, with a cake and some more snacks right here in the, and then come in and have the meeting. Yes. Does that satisfy everybody?
3 o'clock, you said?
Yeah, you come at 3, Marlon.
We'll tell you 3, you may get here by 6.
I just wanted a long party.
Well, we can do that. We can do that, whatever you want. If you want to come earlier, we'll party early. That's
Open
fine.
bar, too.
Are you supplying that, Marvin?
Afraid not. Okay, that's my duty, my God, my country. Speaking of which, okay, I won't say anything else. Madam Vice Mayor, would you?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have just a few items to enlighten you with. This coming Saturday, November 5th, I will be attending a fundraising walk or run for the Special Olympics walk at NSU. The walk and run will start at 8 a.m. The funds raised will support Special Olympics Florida's program right here in Broward County, serving more than 6,000 athletes and their families each year. I tell you what, you all can send me some virtual cheers as I walk on behalf of the town and the town council. 8 a.m. In recognition,
You become our official 8 a.m. person.
In recognition of all the military personnel who have served this country, the town of Davie is hosting its annual Veterans Day ceremony. The event will take place at Veterans Park on Friday, November 11th. Since there is limited parking at this site, those wishing to attend are asked to park at the Bergeron Rodeo grounds, and a town-designated bus will transport you to and from the ceremony. This is a time to respect and celebrate those who have served in the armed forces. I hope to see everyone there. Last week, some of my colleagues and I had the opportunity to read a book called Nigel and the Moon to students at different schools. I chose Nova Eisenhower Elementary because that's where I started my education in 1969. I must say last week's Fright Night Haunted House here at Pine Island Park was nicely done. I went through the tour and was quite impressed by everything that they did to transform the room. A job well done by the South Florida Cloggers and our Parks and Recreation team. I want to recognize our PIO team for the constant updates to the Davie Road Phase 3 roadway improvements project on Davie Road from 39th Street to Orange Drive, north and southbound lanes. The closures that started Tuesday, November 1st at 6:30 p.m., where at this time the contractor is milling and resurfacing the road. This resurfacing component is anticipated to be completed by Saturday, November 5th at 5 a.m. Davie Road will remain open with north and southbound traffic flow, so please be patient. A reminder, don't forget to turn your clocks 1 hour backwards this Sunday. we will lose an hour. Last but not least, happy birthday to all the November babies. That's all for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Just look.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a
Don't choke on
cough or
it.
something going on. November 6th will be the final day for early voting here in Broward County. Early voting sites are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you need more information, please go to the Broward County Supervisor of Election pages to learn where your designated polling site is. And remember, November 8th is the election. I hope that everyone does turn out and everyone does vote. I also had the opportunity this last Sunday evening to go to the Davie Police Fire, the Police Trunk or Treat event this past Sunday, and I think this was the first time we've ever done this, and I hope that this becomes one of many events because I think the success of it was just overwhelming. It was incredible, and my hat goes off, and kudos to employees. I mean, Beetlejuice, all kind of different costumes that our people had on. It was fantastic, and the kids, when I left, it was already dark, and there were still more people coming. That's how big the event turned out. So next year, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a really super event. The kids were so excited and happy, and the way they were dressed up. It was a fun event to be at. It was great. So I hope we can do that again, and if you haven't been, please go. It was just a really enjoyable, wonderful night. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I know what my costume's going to be, Nick.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Shrek. Take my donkey. Councilmember Hatton?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. It was so busy, they had to shut down early. That's what I heard. It was so crowded. It's wonderful. Yeah, it was great. I want to thank HR and for putting on a fantastic health fair. What a great day, crowded, full of it, stuff. It was wonderful. So I want to thank them for that. That was really great. And I have one other thing, Chad, that I'm going to mention that I'd like you to pass on to Jeff. I've been asking, I haven't asked lately, but I've been asking for lights on our horses. You know, some solar lights on our horses on Pine Island. And he told me he was going to look into that a while back. So if we could look into that and see what happens if you need help with
I'm glad
that.
you clarified which horses.
I don't have any horses anymore. My
I was going
horses.
to say, I see flashing lights on the Matter Patrol.
No, it's just they're so pretty, and once it gets dark, you can't see them at all. And I think it'd behoove us to put some lights on, let people know they're there, and appreciate them, you know, because they're really, really nice. So with that, we have a rodeo coming up, and I'm looking forward to that as usual. It's always wonderful. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Starkey?
Couple of things real quick, because I know we did well tonight. We want to get out of here. We had the 20th annual Boys and Girls charity golf tournament, and again, widely successful. We raised $100,000 for the Davie Boys and Girls Club, our two clubs, and I've been honorary chair for the past few years. I used to be co-chair for it, but Rita Case roped me into this for quite a while ago, and it's been a heart passion of mine and my family's for many years. So, and I know our council, you know, supports these events at the Boys and Girls Club quite a bit. So look for more activities in the Davie Boys and Girls Club, and be around and they're doing great there. So thank you for that. I also attended, let's see, there was a couple of things I attended, and now it seems, the movies in the park. That was so cute. I tell you, I was there with Michelle and her mom, and we watched the movie in our park, and I know we're just now kickstarting some of these movie and concert events, but it was really kind of cute. And there'll be another movie in December. What was the movie it was going to be? Chad, do you remember? Simone? Elf. Elf will be, yes, the new movie for the month. So be sure and look at our website for that, and bring your chairs and family, and food trucks will be there, and we'll have a good time. The other thing we have is a concert coming up on this Saturday, and it's to benefit the victims of Hurricane Ian. And I want to thank staff for what they've done to help work with this, and the Chamber of Commerce, and proceeds will be going to Neighbors for Neighbors to try to help relieve a lot of the issues that are going on over there. I've been receiving pictures from friends who go over there and provide relief, and it's still really bad. Debris is just piled up along the sides of the roads. Roads are starting to finally get cleared, and people are starting to clean out their yards, but the debris goes on for miles, and it's really sad. So a lot of them are having a hard time with their insurance companies in getting anything even paid for remotely. So it's kind of frustrating for them to have to go through this as a battle. I thought we resolved that after Hurricane Andrew with insurance companies when they all walked away, but obviously they're trying to do that again, and the state has stepped in and has tried to get involved and tried to make sure they knew better. Mine's not snapping. I don't know what's going on with the.
I'm not even on.
I know, it's kind of odd. Anyway, we're receiving feedback.
The haunted house is still there.
Yeah, haunted house for sure. And I just want to thank my council. We've all worked hard on a lot of issues lately, and I want to thank my council for working so hard over the past several years. And here we go for another 4. And I look forward to being sworn in at the next council meeting, and thank our residents for the confidence that they've shown in us too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lemack?
Mayor, I have nothing as well.
If there's no objection, we're adjourned.